She was the kind of friend you loved, but in small doses. You know the type. The one who dominates every conversation. The one who turns every gathering into her personal monologue. The one who can't seem to ask how you are without bringing it back to her. But what do you do when that kind of friend starts becoming your roommate? Let me take you into my story. Because this isn't just about friendship. It's about boundaries, burnout, and the hard truth that sometimes love isn't enough to make a relationship work. I'll call her Sarah. Sarah and I had been friends for about 5 years. We met in college and clicked immediately. She was outgoing, charismatic, and always the life of the party. People gravitated toward her. She had a spark that could light up a room. And at first, I was drawn to that fire. But over time, I realized it burned. Sarah had this way of making every situation about her. If I talked about a bad day, she'd interrupt with how hers was worse. If I shared an accomplishment, she'd one-up it. If I was quiet, she'd fill the silence with an endless stream of her own thoughts. I let it slide, again and again, because, well, isn't that what friends do? Until one day, she asked me something that changed everything. She needed a place to stay. Sarah's relationship had ended badly, and she was in a rough spot. She asked if she could crash at my apartment, just for a while. I hesitated, but I didn't say no, because I cared, because I wanted to be a good friend. And maybe, deep down, because I didn't know how to say no. So I let her in, but I didn't realize what I was really inviting. From the very first night, it was chaos. She talked nonstop, from the moment she walked in the door until well after midnight. Even when I'd put in headphones, even when I'd say I was tired, she'd just keep going. She filled the apartment with noise, with drama, with her energy, her needs, her complaints. It was like living inside someone else's emotional hurricane. I started walking home slower, just to delay getting back. I stopped inviting people over. I stopped sleeping well. I felt like I was disappearing in my own space. And worse, I started resenting her. I tried to set boundaries. I told her I needed quiet time after work. I said I couldn't always hang out. She'd nod. And then 5 minutes later, ignore it completely. She'd still barge into my room, still talk over me, still vent for hours about people I didn't even know. She even made passive-aggressive comments if I didn't seem like myself. And the guilt. Oh, the guilt. She was struggling. She was heartbroken. She was my friend. But I couldn't breathe. One night, it all boiled over. I'd had a long, brutal day at work, meetings nonstop, a major project crash. I was exhausted, and I just wanted to eat dinner alone and zone out. I walked in the door, and, of course, there she was, sitting on the couch, waiting, eyes wide, energy high, ready to unload, and I just snapped. I didn't yell. I didn't explode. But I said something I'd been holding in for a long time. I told her I couldn't stand her anymore. The silence was immediate. For once, she didn't speak. I told her that she overwhelmed me, that I felt like I was constantly giving and getting nothing back, that her presence felt suffocating, and that, despite loving her as a person, I didn't want her in my space. I said it calmly, clearly, honestly. And it broke her. She started crying, accused me of being heartless, said I'd abandoned her in her darkest hour, said I'd always been the quiet one who didn't know how to be a real friend. It stung, but I didn't take it back. She moved out the next week. We haven't spoken since. And to be honest, I don't know if we ever will again. Now, here's where the story gets messy. Because some of my mutual friends say I was too harsh, that I could have found a kinder way, that I kicked her when she was down. Others, especially those who've known Sarah a long time, told me they've had similar experiences, that she drains people, that she can be emotionally exhausting, that they've just learned to put up walls. So I started wondering, was I wrong for telling her how I really felt? For saying, I can't do this anymore? For choosing peace over politeness? Let's zoom out. This story isn't just about me and Sarah. It's about the invisible line between kindness and self-sacrifice. We're taught, especially in American culture, to be loyal, to stand by our friends, to be ride or die, to help people no matter what. But what if helping them is hurting you? What if loving someone doesn't mean living in their chaos? What if setting boundaries is the highest form of love you can give to yourself? Here's what I learned. Being a good friend doesn't mean being a sponge for someone else's emotions. It doesn't mean tolerating disrespect, even if it's unintentional. And it definitely doesn't mean shrinking yourself to make space for someone louder. You can love someone. You can have history with someone and still decide they're not good for your everyday life. And guess what? That doesn't make you cold. That doesn't make you cruel. That makes you honest. So if you're listening to this and you feel exhausted by someone in your life, if you're walking on eggshells, if you're always the one giving, if you dread the sound of their name on your phone, maybe it's time to say what you've been holding back, because silence isn't always kindness, and truth isn't always cruelty. At AITA Stories, we believe real life is messy, that friendship doesn't always mean forever, and that choosing yourself is not a betrayal. But I want to know what you think. Was I the jerk for finally telling my friend I couldn't stand her anymore? Or was that the only way to be free? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever had to walk away from someone you once loved, drop a 777 below. Let's talk about it, because this story might just be yours too.